Okay. Thank you. Give it a couple minutes, see if it shows up. That's all right. Yeah, I'll speak in the podium. Yeah, you don't need to mic me up, I don't think. Thank you. Sure.
Good afternoon, everyone. Now presenting Jeffrey Sherman with Telescope Innovations.
So y'all are going to get my best presentation today. There may not be a lot of you, but you're going to get the best presentation. I watched yesterday, Adam Epstein's talk on storytelling with microcaps, and so I went back and did sort of inventory, make sure I was good, right? We went and looked at our website and looked at our board, make sure all the descriptions were good, and we're you bet on the jockey and not on the horse and all those kind of things. And so what I'm going to tell you right now is this is one that you really want to pay attention to regarding the jockey. The jockeys here are world class, not like most people using world class pretty loosely, and I'll be able to back that up with Nobel Prizes. Okay, so these are real serious players that are involved in the business. Also, I'll tell you that the business already has revenue. It's growing quickly. It's cash flow positive last year, no debt. So just to sort of set the tone for what we're talking about here. Normal disclaimers, I won't read it to you or even ask you to take a look at that right there. It's the same from everybody else's legal boilerplate. The company develops intelligent automation platforms that accelerate innovation. And we're working to reduce the amount of time it takes for R&D and build a process that can be used in manufacturing and accelerate the deployment of a new product to the market. And we're focused on high-value specialty material markets like specialty chemicals that would be something like crop protection, pharma, big pharma, and then clean technologies, in particular on processes for purification of lithium. We have a couple other that are involved as well, but those are the primary focus. And what we use are advanced automation and robotics, deep chemical knowledge, analytical technology monitoring chemistry continuously, and then AI to give feedback to monitor and control reactions so that you can optimize a reaction and take it to the manufacturing scale as quickly as possible. So there's a huge demand now for lab innovation and automation in big pharma. I'll use that as this example. Billions and even trillions of dollars now, based on what's happened in the last pandemic. People learned that those who had automation built into their R&D platform actually fared far better whenever the supply chains were broken, when research needed to be done, and not everybody could be in the office 24/7. So there's been a huge investment now from governments in C-suites in all the largest companies in the world to invest in automation to get better yield. Additionally, with all of the moves to try to reshore R&D and manufacturing because of the geopolitical situation, they needed to find a way to be more efficient and more cost effective. So to do that, automation is a big tool, and there's an enormous investment in that. So the example I'll give you is sort of how a process gets launched to market in big pharma. So once you discover a drug with the traditional techniques. Then you do development and commercialization of that process so that it's manufacturable, it's efficient, it's safe, et cetera. And that costs about $900 million and can take 5 to 6 years. That sort of only leaves you about 10 years of selling your product before the generics get to it. And what we're doing with intelligent lab automation and where the big investment's going with the big pharma people is putting it into the chemical development space, not just drug discovery, but we're focused in chemical development in these manufacturing processes to reduce that time to market substantially. So you spend less money in R&D, you get better, more products to market more quickly, and then you have a longer time to sell the product before your patents roll off. So again, this is about also picking the jockey, right? The founder of the business and CTO unlocked a second Nobel Prize in chemistry for Barry Sharpless. Barry has 2 Nobel Prizes in chemistry, one of 5 people in the history of the world that have ever done that. Jonas Salk and Marie Curie, et cetera. These are the big hitters in the pantheon of organic chemistry. And Barry has 2. He's the only living person with 2. He calls Jason a genius, and Jason unlocked that second Nobel Prize for him, a great deal of the chemistry associated with that. Then what we've done is brought in a business team to help support these scientists who are extremely deep, but also don't have the experience in commercial markets, don't have all the connections with everybody in the big players who are the customer bases. And so we brought Henry Dubina, who was the president of Mettler Toledo Autochem, a $4 billion company. He was president of one of the smaller divisions, a couple $100 million at 35% EBITDA, which he and myself and a few other colleagues built from 6 people up to that $1 billion market cap business that it is today. And then John Karinchich is a CFO, has extensive capital markets experience, and we brought him in last year. As the business has grown, we needed a full-time, not a fractional CFO. Our board is deep and very strong. From Standard Lithium, Andy Robinson is the president of Standard Lithium. They just got approval from the Trump administration to accelerate their permitting for a project that's considered critical minerals, which is manufacturing of lithium in the U.S. From brine in Southwest Arkansas. Robert Mintak is a former CEO there. He's also advising us here, has a great deal of public market experience. And then Ali Pejman is an investment banker who is very philanthropic, but is also a participant in the Creative Destruction Lab and has a lot of understanding of how new and quickly moving businesses work. So I mentioned, the jockeys, if you will. The scientific achievement is really unparalleled and is world-class. 2 Nobel Prizes, as I said, it's only happened 5 times in history. 34 patents, several hundred academic publications. But to put that around that, a great experience with exits and or value creation for small businesses that grew from just a small number of people over a 5 to 10 year period into a significant exits. One of these was a tiny one. It was $1 million that we sold for $15 million. Another one was a 5-year project to clean up a family-owned business where the family wanted to exit. It was a $65 million business when we started and sold it for $200 million, and now it went on to be resold for $750 million. So there's a lot of different good experiences here. The best one is 6 people to a large organization now with $1 billion market cap that continues to operate within Mettler Toledo. So we feel good that the people involved know what we're doing from the business standpoint and to create value in the organization. And we have an absolute rock star team of scientists that are the best. So we have 3 ways of making money. Currently, we're generating revenue with leveraging our decades-long relationship with people in big pharmas, in the strategics around the world, big chemicals, and with the renewables and clean tech space. And so we get contract R&D from them. Sometimes they'll outsource a process to us to do the work for them. More likely that they do is say, hey, we want to automate a current workflow that we have. Can you put this robot to make this movement of these materials, liquids, solids, how do we analyze them and put vision onto it, et cetera. So we'll do customized workflows as well to generate revenue on a contract basis. And examples of those customers are sort of like Pfizer. Pfizer asked us to build a workflow for solubility screening of different solvents. So we built the robots, the technology to do that for them. Standard Lithium outsources R&D projects to us so that we clean up their process for purification of lithium carbonate. So we've created a process, which I'll show you in a moment, that purifies lithium carbonate because they didn't have the staff to do it. Same with Hatch. If they're building a factory in Australia, they don't have everybody to do the chemistry, they outsource that to us and or do a customized workflow. We also have a flagship product we just kicked off because the people typically ask, how did you get all that work done so quickly? How did you generate this much data? We say, well, we built these tools for ourselves, and here's what the self-driving laboratory looks like, fully automated systems, et cetera. And so Big Pharma, actually, the Enabling Technologies Consortium, paid for half of the R&D to build our first product. So that's really the best type of marketing. It's not like, hey, we have this great idea and we think you can use it. In this case, they said, hey, nobody makes this and we need it and we'll pay to have it developed. And they put a request for proposal out and we won that and have built that and it's now our flagship product. And in fact, we went to our old friends at Mettler Toledo in the AutoChem division and we now sell that through their distribution network around the world. Yeah. The final piece is we've developed a lot of intellectual property, and I'll give you one example of licensing that we're pursuing to generate revenue sort of while we sleep after we've created some value in these different endeavors. Sorry, it's a bit of an eye chart, but basically this is a stack up of the ways that we're going to generate revenue. The dark blue today is what we're generating in cash for contract research and for our first product, which is called Direct Inject LC. Basically, this is a real-time monitoring technique to snatch a sample in real time from a reactor automatically. Nobody gets exposed to any chemistry. You basically quench the reaction so that you're getting a snapshot of that reaction, and you present it to an analyzer, get the data from the analyzer, and let the system visualize it. And so that first product is now on the market and being sold. We have follow-on products, 2 more this year, that are built off that same platform for Direct Inject. And we're building a self-driving laboratory, which I'll describe in a few moments. It does the full, you put liquids and powders in the front end and you get active pharmaceutical ingredients out of the back end that have been purified. So a fully automated workflow inside of the laboratory. We're also building out our organization right now to make sure we can support the distribution network around the world, that the customers have adequate support that buy product from us. And we're also developing, we need more AI engineers, people that are doing automation, robotic engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, et cetera. And then we have some of the IP portfolio, which I'll give you a quick example of. Most of it is around lithium. There is one on a scalable manufacturing process for pharmaceutically relevant indole compounds, which basically is for treatment of treatment-resistant depression, alcoholism. It's palliative care, and it's based on it's a synthetic route to psilocybin and molecules like psilocybin that are in 1,800 clinical trials today. So the first product that we built, which is now being sold, this is a $100,000 product. It actually has about a little over 70% gross margin, and it creates a recurring revenue stream for us because it's not just buying the product itself. There is a service business that goes along with that to maintain it, and there's accessories and software maintenance that goes on, and people buy a license to use the software annually. And so you get recurring revenue from the product. It is a platform technology as well. This one currently interfaces with liquid chromatography, that's the word LC, but you can connect it to a variety of other techniques as well. I don't want to get too deep into the chemistry, but mass spectrometry, NMR, ICP, there's a variety of techniques that are used that all are very complementary for studying and analyzing chemistry. Currently, 15 of the top 20 pharmas have adopted it. The reason that there's 5 that haven't so far, some of those are vaccine companies. We don't work in vaccines. It's small molecule and in larger molecules on the biotech side. And then some of them are in China where we just haven't gotten there all the way yet. Same thing in Japan, there's 1 or 2 in there. But everybody else we sort of are succeeding with. Our distribution strategy, rather than setting up 100 legal entities around the world with finance and HR and salespeople and service, et cetera, is to leverage the distribution channel that's in place with Mettler Toledo AutoChem. They have several technologies that are parallel with this, and we're missing this direct inject LC piece. And so this is a natural fit for them and for their customers. And so product number 1 goes in there, but there are many products to come behind it that are built off the same platform. It gives them a portfolio refresh, something new in their portfolio, a good reason to go back to talk to the customer. They've highly penetrated. They have about 80% of the market share in chemical process development. And so now I have a new reason to go talk to them. It also gives them a nimble development partner. As Mettler Toledo has grown at $4 billion, they're focused on operational excellence, marketing, distribution. And so the innovation has been lost. And so one of the things they do is they outsource rapid prototype development to us. Some of the early stage products, they're asking us to do the engineering and design to get innovation back into their portfolio. It generates a recurring revenue stream for them and for us, and has a great deal of reasons for them to be engaged with their customers and participate with the customers. We had 200 people join a user forum just recently for them to share ideas about how they use the technology, how they've been successful with it, what are the new things they want to do with it. And so for a young company to have that kind of participation was really outstanding. I also mentioned self-driving laboratories. This is the big pull in the vision for larger companies. In this case, Pfizer signed a master services agreement with us and funded the complete development of the product. There are other strategics coming in. You can imagine, I can't say the names yet because they haven't signed up fully, but there's 3 more strategics that are coming in that are big pharmas similar to Pfizer who want to compress that development time. They want fully automated self-driving laboratories that will do autonomous process optimization. So taking analytical data while you're controlling a reaction, feed that to AI, have it make adjustments, optimize the chemistry, put all that data in a place that you can visualize it and understand it, and deliver a product to market that's manufacturable in a much quicker way. This increases their competitiveness, reduces the time of the R&D and the amount of money they spend, and they're making major global investments to move this back to North America and Europe. The final piece is an example of intellectual property licensing. We've developed a process for purification of lithium where you can put garbage in one side. Normally, to purify lithium, you have to have 95% pure or better. In this case, we can put anywhere from 15% to 93% pure lithium carbonate into the front end, and you can get battery grade 99.9% pure lithium carbonate out the other side. And we've looked at a variety of different sources from abandoned oil wells and gas wells that are filled with produced water in Texas to brines in southwest Arkansas to looking at spodumene clays in Nevada and taking all these types of sources of lithium and plugging those into our process to confirm that that's what we'll get every time that you do it. Now, the beauty is that it reduces the need to clean up the feedstock for the process, which reduces the cost of a plant by 15%. These plants cost between $750 million and $1 billion to build. And so if you reduce 15% of the CapEx just up front, it's significant impact. And then they save 30 to 50%, depending on the quality of their feedstock, on the reagents that they need to use to clean it up. And so it's a significant savings for people that are in building a lithium plant today versus the traditional methods of doing it. And we're in the process of licensing this process to multiple people to use in those facilities. So in summary about who we're working with, we have a global customer and partner network that works with all the biggest scientific instrument companies. We would say Agilent and Waters. Agilent's the former HP. Shimadzu, which is the largest in Japan. But then we also work with companies like Standard Lithium to develop processes, and they outsource processes to us, Hatch, et cetera. Pharmaceutical partners are buying product, and they're also giving us non-dilutive funding to develop new products for them. And then finally, we have funding from governments and from academic partners. We have a grant right now, for instance, from the British Columbia Center for Innovation in Mining and Clean Energy to build a pilot plant for doing lithium purification. We've had 2 full years of revenue. We're partway into the 3rd year. We had 1 quarter of revenue in 2022. We set up our laboratories, hired people, so we have big expenses and several non-cash events with stock being allocated for founders, et cetera. After that, we've tried to run it really tight. We did 2.8 the first year with a slight loss at 250. Last year, we finished at 4.4 with about $150,000 loss. But we were cash flow positive this year, which should be right at $7 million based on all of the things we've talked about. We're going to continue to invest in the business and build out our infrastructure so that it's supportable and we deliver on the promises with the demand for self-driving laboratories. And then you'll start to see the EBITDA go from there. Cap table looks like this, about 54 million shares outstanding. 25% is held by directors and officers. The share price has moved up and down. Obviously, it's turbulent right now. We have 5.5 million options of value in options that are outstanding. So with current cash on hand, about 1.3 million, but we're generating cash. We have a decent AR, and we would like to go faster. And you can ask me any questions that you want regarding the cap table when we finish. So ultimately, what we've done is develop an automation platform for scaling chemical reactions for big pharma, specialty chemical companies like Corteva, Bayer, Crop Science, et cetera, for crop protection, and then also in the clean tech space, working in lithium chemistry for next generation battery materials. So with that, I'll wrap up, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Yes, sir. So this is a new space that's being created. There are people that do automation, but they don't understand chemistry. They do it mostly for biologics. Then there are analytical companies like Thermo Fisher, with Agilent, et cetera, that make analyzers, but they don't deal with automation necessarily. And so we're kind of in the middle, and we're working with all those partners. It's been very positive. They like that we're in the middle, and they know their organizations can't do it. And to them, it's a growing market segment, but they're not that interested enough in it yet to go try to take the whole thing themselves. It's about $1 billion opportunity today, addressable target market today, but it's growing rapidly once there's some sort of crystallization around what's going to happen with self-driving laboratories. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be product and software. So software, we will buy technology that's available, because today people that have Thermo systems and have Agilent systems, they're already connected to their ERP and their eLab notebooks and their whole infrastructure. So therefore, they don't want to change all that. They have a lot invested. So we need to make sure our stuff will use what they have. If it doesn't, then they'll acquire other things. But for the most part, we will work within what they currently have for their workflows. Yes. Mm-hmm. So in CROs, that's a way for us to maintain our relationships and stay at the cutting edge with all the top pharmas at the highest level of the organizations. For general projects where they outsource to India or China, we're not going to compete on an FTE basis. We leverage these tools to make it do much more cost effective. But I'll give you an example. One of the biggest pharmas in the world had $18 billion worth of orders for a therapeutic for COVID. They had a 5-step synthesis and it didn't work. They came to us and said, you have to fix it. Can you fix it? So this one dies on the 3rd step and we can't make it. So we solved the problem in 2 weeks for them. It took longer to negotiate with their lawyers. That's not something you package up and send off to a contract research organization. So we'll grow as an instrument manufacturer and an equipment supplier. And the CRO business will be a high-end specialty niche thing. It won't be the biggest piece of the business. So they're calling me for time right now. I'll be here all day, and I have tomorrow's mostly booked up, but I'm happy to meet with you today and any open slots that you can see tomorrow. Thank you.